Hey friends, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today we are back with another installment of my window shopping series. So if you don't know, a couple of months ago I started this window shopping series and I only have a couple of videos in it so far because I kind of spaced them out. But just like the title, it is basically me talking about polishes that I have been admiring but not adding to my collection. This video is going to be a little bit different though because I am going to be talking about some polishes I will be buying later on because obviously it's Black Friday, holiday shopping season time, but the majority of this video is going to be window shopping. So as always, timestamps will be in the description box for everything. For now, let's just get into it. So starting with the window shopping portion, the first brand that I want to talk about is Clionadh Cosmetics. I think earlier this month they released this Psilo-sibling trio, which were basically 3 polishes that were like sister shades to the very iconic psilocybin, which is this insane multi-chrome magnetic kind of polish that everybody and their mothers talk about. I feel like it's one of those cult classic shades, but I admittedly was never super into it. But when I saw the teasers for this new trio of shades inspired by that one, I thought they were a little bit more interesting and I was really tempted to pick them all up and just see like, okay, am I missing out, you know, on the hype? But I decided to be responsible, wait to see some more swatches, and I have decided that I do like one of the polishes, but maybe not enough to buy because, you know, I'm always talking about how I hate buying just one polish and paying for shipping for one polish. But my favorite of the 3 is Psilocin, I think it's called. I just really love the colorway that that one has, and that would be the one that I do buy out of the 3. And I had considered picking it up for Black Friday because there were like a few other Clionadh shades that I had on my wish list for a while. I don't remember if I've talked about them before in like other window shopping videos, but the first one was Radiance, which is this beautiful ghostly white sheer kind of shade with a really strong blue shimmer. I'm sure just looking at it, you can tell it is so up my alley, but I feel like I already have a few shimmery whites kind of similar to that. I mean, the most similar I think is Mooncat's Ghost of Hecate, which isn't a dupe exactly, but I don't know, I'm getting it to the point where I'm like, that is getting a little too similar to what I already have, even though I wouldn't call them dupes, but I still would say it's like at the top of my wish list because I'm just such a sucker for ghostly ethereal white shades like that. And I also really loved Waltz of the Flowers, which I think came out in their advent box last year, but it was super popular that they brought it back. And it's just another beautiful shade, so up my alley. That one, I don't think I have like a solid, you know, dupe or close enough alternative for either. I feel like the specific shade of the pink base color is more unique to my collection. But again, I have a lot of pinks with a gold shimmer, so I'm trying to convince myself out of it. And then when they released their advent box for this year, they had, I think, like a sister polish to Waltz of the Flowers. I'm just blanking on the name right now, but it's like the teal kind of version of it, and I thought it was so beautiful, but it's only available for like the advent box, and that's just way too expensive to get for like one polish. So I'm hoping that that will be another shade that they just like bring back individually at some point in the future, and it'll just be another shade added to my wish list, and hopefully eventually I will have enough shades to get like free shipping or just like to make it more worth it for me. But right now just doesn't seem like that time, which is unfortunate because I would love to get more into Clionadh. I feel like they have some really beautiful polishes. I really love their bottles too. I think they're just so stunning. So not anytime soon, unfortunately. The next brand I want to talk about is Kathleen Co. And oh my gosh, I'm sure so many of you have seen Caitlin's video on these. If I remember correctly, it's like 3 different collections. So there's like a larger collection and then these 2 quads that are releasing. So I don't remember like which polishes belong to which release, but basically all of them were so beautiful and I was so tempted by so many of them. but at the same time, a lot of them also reminded me of shades that I already had in my collection. So I kind of wanted to talk about some of those and give you guys like alternatives or, you know, close enough dupes. The first one that I was really drawn to, that would probably be like the one that I would buy if like I had to choose one, is called I Still Do, which is this really beautiful purple base with a red shimmer. And I'm sure you already know what it's reminding me of because I feel like it is just such a standout color combination at this point. But to me, it just immediately reminded me of Sassy Sauce's Cock-a-doodle-doom, which if you remember my video earlier this year talking about polishes that I regret buying, I included that one. And it's not to say that the polish like isn't beautiful at all, don't get me wrong. It's just that I already had a few purple bases with red shimmer and I'm just trying to be better about not adding more of them. So I am not going to be getting that one, even though it is so stunning. I just was like drooling over Caitlin's swatches of it. If you don't already have a purple with red shimmer, I feel like you need one, but I will be staying strong and not getting that one. And the other shade that I'm sure you probably were like, wait, I thought it was something else, was called Fade Into You, which is this really beautiful light pink base color with this blue shimmer and this kind of hollow flaky. It is absolutely a polish that I would have in my collection if I didn't already own like 5 of them at least. I somewhat recently did a video on my kryptonite polishes, which are those dreamy pinks with these electric blue shimmers. And I think the closest one that I have to a dupe for that shade from Kathleen Co is Atomic Polish's A Day of Fallen Night, which was from PPU. So if you did miss out on that one, maybe this Kathleen Co is a great alternative. But yeah, it is just so stunning, but definitely a color combination that we've seen before and we likely will see again. I do think the main difference with the Kathleen Co one is that it has these like larger hollow flaky pieces, but I feel like if you have like a hollow kind of flaky topper, it would be good enough to recreate. I also really loved Frozen. Oh my gosh, it is getting me into like the winter mood. And that's kind of crazy to say because I am not like a winter lover by any means. I really hate the cold. I'm not a fan of how dreary it gets. Like I love a good little snow day and like the romanticized version of winter. But I feel like winters in the Northeast are just kind of harsh and like again, cold and dreary and just not my favorite, but this shade is so magical that it just like makes me want to enjoy winter. But then I remembered that I had ILNP's Elsa from their Winter Wonderland collection a few years ago, and I feel like it's pretty close. Maybe it's not as blue, or the Kathleen Co is like a little bit more opaque or something, but again, for the sake of like not really duping myself, I'm gonna be sticking with Elsa because it's already in my collection and it's just a beautiful shade from a few years ago that I feel like needs some love again. And like I mentioned, the rest of like the collections and shades were super beautiful, but not really enough that they like interested me in, you know, potentially buying them, but a lot of them just reminded me of other shades. So I wanted to, you know, put out these like potential dupes just in case you were thinking of getting some of them, but then you forgot you already had them. The first Kathleen Co is Rime of Ancient Mariner, I think is the name, and it's this beautiful vibrant green kind of multi-chrome sort of shade. It immediately reminded me of Mooncat's Serpents of Eden, which just recently came out, and I'm sure so many of you guys already picked up during their lunar sale, which I think started, well, actually I don't know when exactly this video is going to go up, but it is already going on. I'm pretty sure though Kathleen Co is a slightly bigger bottle because they're 15 mls and they're usually a little bit cheaper than Mooncat. So depending on their Black Friday sale, which I don't know the details right now, if I will, I'll put them up here, the Kathleen Co might be a better, like more affordable option. But if you already grabbed the Mooncat, enjoy it because that one is still a beautiful shade of green. Another potential Mooncat dupe that I thought of was for Kathleen & Co's Crescent City, which reminded me of Witch Hazel from the Fallen collection a few months ago. I think the Kathleen Co is like a little bit more green though, but it's kind of hard to tell, right? So I'm just doing my best, but they definitely give me those very similar vibes being these like, but they definitely give me super similar vibes being these, oh my God. But they definitely give me super similar vibes being these really sheer but super intensely glowy golden shimmers. And the last one is called Under a Holiday Moon, which immediately reminded of ILNP's The Darkest Hour from their Coven collection for Halloween. Those two are probably the closest to being dupes because they are these like black bases with a blue shimmer and a silver magnetic pigment. So there's like a slight difference visually maybe, like the size of their shimmers or whatever, but virtually like on paper they're described the same way. And I'm pretty sure ILNP's Black Friday hasn't been like announced yet. It usually is like on actual Black Friday through Cyber Monday, and it's usually 25% off, which is a really good deal. So do with that what you will. But yeah, those Kathleen Co shades have been just so beautiful, just on my mind. I can't stop thinking about how shimmery and shifty they are. I feel like it's been a while since I've added Kathleen Co to my collection. I think the last time was through Polish Pickup earlier this year, but they definitely have put out some really beautiful shades that have been like on my wish list, and unfortunately their website is closed right now, I think in preparation for Black Friday. So it's just been a while since I've actually seen what they have on their website, but they definitely have made some really beautiful polishes. They're just similar to other indies where they kind of make like these bespoke batches almost, where they aren't able to keep stock and inventory like for years and years. They unfortunately will kind of have to like phase out certain collections, but the few that I have tried, I have absolutely loved. So I definitely would love to shop from them again, but unfortunately not this season. I also recently saw that Cuticula launched their Winterful collection, and honestly, I'm not really the biggest fan of it. Even though I say that I love flakies, I feel like I've been having a weird year with flakies where some of them just have been like not my thing. I don't know if I'm just getting like pickier with the color combinations or like the sizes or what, but unfortunately that collection is just not really for me. There was one standout shade though, which I'm sure is not a surprise. It's Froze Con, which I love the name first of all. I think it's super beautiful, definitely lovely for winter, but it kind of reminds me of like a cooler version of fairy dust, but again with like these larger hollow flakies. So I feel like I might as well just try to recreate the vibes as opposed to just like getting a whole new bottle of polish, you know? I think one of my favorite collections that has come out this season though was Polish for Days Enchanting. That is so up my alley. Like I'm sure if you see the little lineup, the promo shot, it is just so beautiful, giving me all the magical, ethereal winter vibes, but again, also reminding me of a lot of shades that I already have. Well, I guess it's not really a lot. It's only like two that I have these potential dupes for. The first one was Gleam, where it just reminded me of Mooncat's Mermaid Base, but I think with the saturation turned up like way more, the base color just looks a little bit more vibrant, but the color shifts I think are pretty similar, so I don't need it. Obviously, Smitten is another one that I'm just like, oh my god, it is so beautiful, it is so perfect. I wish I had it in my collection, but I basically already do, because that one reminded me of ILNP's Flower Child from earlier this year, which I know so many of you guys also have, but Smitten has these larger kind of hollow flakies. So again, it's kind of a shade that I feel like could be recreated just with like some layering. I wish I had something closer to Enchanted to Meet You, which is this like super icy but vibrant blue base with a blue shimmer and this hollow flaky. It feels like so familiar in a way, but I feel like I don't have it in my collection. But to be fair, I haven't really gone through like every drawer, so I will do that, but there's just something about it that feels familiar. So maybe it's like a previous Polish Pickup shade or something, Sibling, but that one is definitely so stunning, giving those like icy winter vibes. But I think the one that I am the most tempted by is All Aglow. I don't know what it is about that shade, but I just like gasped. It just looks so sheer and ethereal, but so magical, where I'm just like instantly transported to a field covered in snow. I can feel how cold my nose is. I could see my breath, but the sun is shining on my face. Like, that is what that polish makes me think of, and I love when polishes do that. So I am super tempted to get it, especially because I'm thinking of like my winter favorites video that I'm gonna be doing soon, and I don't know if I'll be getting it in time though, first of all, so you know, maybe it's not worth it. And you might remember recently in my best of all of that video, I shared the shade Partly Sunny, which is this really light sky blue kind of base with this golden shimmer. It's definitely not as like sheer and shifty and ethereal, but it is still very like whimsical. And in that video, I talked about how like I know I'm gonna include it in my spring favorites video, but I also feel like it could work for the summertime. But now I'm kind of looking at it like, maybe this could work for winter too, but I don't know. There's just something about the Polish for Days All Aglow that I feel like is even more wintry than the Olive Ave. You know what I mean? So now I just have to decide if it's actually worth getting that polish. I know Polish for Days definitely has had some really beautiful shades this year as well, but similar to Kathleen Co, their website I think is like currently closed, or like the listings were removed in order to like prep their inventory for Black Friday. So kind of a shame, because I would love to see like the other shades that they have, but even if I only picked up that one, I would be happy. Now, the last brand that I want to talk about for the window shopping portion is KBShimmer. And I saved this one for last because I am going to be buying some things from them, so it'll be like the perfect segue. But I wanted to talk about their winter holiday collection that I just saw, and it looks so cute. There are definitely a handful of shades that like really stand out to me, but I'm just trying to convince myself that I don't really need them. The first one was called Crushing It, which is this intensely vibrant emerald green kind of magnetic. Oh my god, it is so stunning. I was watching Ray's video on it and she's just like, you guys need this. I'm like, Ray, stop. Like, I'm gonna put you on mute. I don't need it. But it is so pretty. I love the vibrant shade of green that it is, but I feel like I just have so many green magnetics that I like don't wear often enough. So I don't want to just add another one to my collection, but I feel like that is such a perfect shade of green, especially for the holiday season. It's not as blue or like teal leaning as Mooncat's Weeping Willow, which is definitely one of my favorite green magnetics. I don't remember Crushing It having this like color shift to it. I think it's just like a pure green, but it is so perfect, so lush, and just one that I would like love to have, but I probably wouldn't end up wearing it. So you hate to see it, but that's basically like the whole theme of this video. I actually think the first shade that I was like, oh my god, wait, I might get this one, was Flocking Fabulous, which was the white Crelly that had this really cute glitter mix in it. Even though I don't wear Crellys as often as I used to, I still really love them. They're just like one of my favorite finishes. They give me such like nostalgia because they were one of my very first finishes when I got into indies. I think they can be super cute, especially with their color combinations, and this one is just so fun and festive. But I'm trying not to get a Crelly just because it's like very festive at the same time, because I feel like I already have a couple, so I'm like, okay, let me like, you know, focus on those before adding another one to my collection, because again, I just don't wear them often enough. That's the kind of finish that you definitely want to use a peel off base for, similar to any kind of like full coverage glitter, because the removal process can be such a pain. So you know, I know I should be better about that, but yeah, I'm not gonna be getting it. Maybe I'll try to like recreate the vibes though. by doing like a Skittle inspired by the colors at least, because I don't know, there's something about that color palette of that polish that like makes me so happy. The other one that I thought was super, super beautiful was called Skating By, and I mean, no words, it's self-explanatory. Another beautiful, icy, winter, magical kind of shade, but it low-key reminds me of Kathleen Co's Frozen or ILNP's Elsa, which I already have, so I don't need that many icy blues in my collection, but man, is it so pretty. Like, ugh. I love it. There's something about this like winter season that I'm just like really loving the collections, the specific colors, the formulas. I think they're just so, so pretty, and I can't wait to really go through my collection and curate my winter favorites for this year, because I feel like I have a vision of like the colors I want to use, and I'm just so looking forward to seeing it like actually come together. A surprise favorite from the release though is Get Your Knit Together, which first of all, love the name, but I was like shocked that I love this one because it kind of seems like one of those flaky bombs that I'm not usually into. But there's something about the color combination in those flakies and the base color that I was like, this is so, so stunning. Admittedly, not really giving me like winter vibes. I definitely immediately was like, oh my God, this would be such a beautiful shade for October, for spooky season, which I think Ray also mentioned in her video. So I'm glad I'm not the only one that was like immediately thinking of that, because it sort of felt out of place with the collection in my opinion, but I guess not really, because there were some like brighter fuchsia, purpley kind of shades too. So I guess it does fit, but either way, you know, with how I've been feeling so weird with flakies, I was just so surprised at how drawn I was to that one. But like I mentioned with Flocking Fabulous, I'm trying to not get a polish just because of a like specific holiday that it reminds me of. And I feel like I already have a decent amount of like flaky toppers and jelly bases that I might be able to like recreate it. It just would be very, very tedious to do, obviously, layering so many polishes versus just using one. I feel like the best way to justify it would be getting rid of the polishes that I would need, like, you know, the 4 or 5 that I would have to layer in order to replace them with just one polish, but I am not gonna do that, so I'm at a loss. Not at a complete loss though, because like I mentioned, I am planning on picking up a couple of things from KBShimmer, but not nail polish. If you watch my PPU wishlisting videos, you know that I love KBShimmer's sugar scrubs. They are so delicious. I mean, as a scrub too, I really enjoy them. I use them every day in the shower. I know some people also use them like specifically for manicures and pedicures, but I don't really do that. Since I do use it in the shower where it's like, you know, the water is running and stuff, it doesn't feel super dry or like abrasive. It's definitely a very, I don't know if emollient is the right word, but just almost like oily in a way. So I would definitely be careful, you know, using it in the shower if you don't have like a mat or something. But that aside, I definitely recommend them if you are planning on buying from KBShimmer, especially if you already like have the free shipping, or if you're like a few dollars away from getting it and you don't really want to get another polish, base coat, top coat. Add in a sugar scrub. They are so yummy. I'm gonna be getting another one of the Rainbow Shaved Ice. I picked that up earlier in the summer, and that one was actually a PPU Rewind kind of sugar scrub. I don't know if it was from 2021 or 2022, but oh my God, I loved it so, so much. In that summer KBShimmer haul that I did, I picked up one of that scent and then 2 of like the Mango Madness or whatever, because I really love mango and I was expecting that one to be my favorite of the 2, but I was wrong. It was the Rainbow Shaved Ice that was my favorite. So I'm like, okay, I need to get another one. Hopefully it'll last by Black Friday. It is super sweet, but not in that sickly way. So I don't know how to describe it other than I just want to eat it so bad. I am also going to be getting the Watermelon Sugar Scrub because that is another scent that I feel like is just gonna smell so yummy. If you couldn't tell, I'm a fan of the fruitier kind of scents. And of course, I had to also pick up the newest one that they released that I think is called Winter Berries. It's basically strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, my favorite kind of berries, so I had to get it. Unfortunately, with only getting the sugar scrubs, the shipping is probably gonna be expensive because I'm only planning on getting like one of each. I really did consider getting 2 of the rainbow shaped ice because I know that I love that one, but getting 3 is already like kind of a lot. Like I don't want to have so many just taking up space underneath my sink. And I am also kind of interested in the scent option that's going to be available for PPU for December, so I needed to limit myself a little bit at least. But yeah, I cannot recommend them enough. If you haven't tried them yet, please consider doing it, especially for Black Friday. So to continue on the what I'm actually going to be getting for Black Friday portion of the video, the next thing I want to talk about was Night Owl Lacquer. You probably heard me talk about them a couple of times on my channel, usually around like the fall season. There are a ton of beautiful shades that she has on her website, but I was kind of interested in trying some of her cream formulas because they are only $8. Absolutely insane, especially when you consider like boutique brand prices. Even with drugstore brands, I feel like OPI and Essie have also like raised their prices too, so they're not as affordable as like I remember them being years ago. And while I was tempted to try some of her like jelly polishes, because she has these like neon jellies, she also came out, I think with this spring, came out with these like pastel milky kind of shears, but I admittedly didn't really love those. I feel like they were just a little too pastel for me. I would have preferred them being a little bit more pigmented, but at the same time, I probably wouldn't have gotten them because I already had Dimension Nails vegan plant milk collection, not to mention a couple of pastel jellies from Cirque. So, you know, as much as I wanted to get some of them for like the science of trying them out, seeing how they compare, especially to brands like Cirque, I just knew that if I bought those, they would immediately go to my de-stash pile. So I just didn't want to do that. So instead, I wanted to just get a couple of their creams that I had been eyeing basically since like last year. And those are the October and September creams of the month, I think is what it stands for. These 2 colors I think are just so beautiful, and I would say on the more unique side to my collection. So, you know, not necessary for everybody to get. I feel like the October one maybe kind of reminds me of Holo Taco's Bring Me the Teal, but I don't have that shade, so I didn't want to get that one for like $12, and instead I'll get this $8 cream from Night Owl Lacquer. I did get another 2 shades that were kind of like a last minute ad. When I went to the website, I unfortunately did see that with Night Owl Lacquer's Black Friday sale, the creams are excluded, which kind of is a bummer, but at the same time they're already like super cheap, so I do get it, but it's like I was waiting for Black Friday to like make the order, you know, so a little bit of a bummer, but not the end of the world. But while I was like browsing the website to see if like, you know, there's anything else I can get, I did see that they had the December cream of the month, which is this really beautiful like minty green kind of shade. I definitely think that one's pretty unique to my collection. There might be a shade from like Sinful Colors that is similar to it, but Sinful Colors I don't think is around anymore, or maybe they came back like more recently, but it's just not readily available, I think. And so I would love to have a shade that's like a backup for it, but without being a backup, if that makes sense. And then while I was browsing the like later pages on the website, I came across this shade called Winter Wonderland, and I just thought it was so magical. It's basically this white crelly with this really beautiful dusting of this like aqua blue metallic flaky particle. Again, just so magical, instantly giving me all those icy winter vibes, but in like the romanticized, idealized version. It also low-key does give me toothpaste, but I think I'm gonna like it, so I wanted to get it, especially because that one was like a final stock type of polish, so once it sells out, it's gonna be gone. So I figured I would just take the chance on that one because I have liked the other Night Owl Crellies that I have tried before, so I figured I would get like, you know, a more wintry polish too. And I guess also speaking of polishes that I've already bought for Black Friday, I did make a Holo Taco order. There were a few shades that I had on my wish list for a while, and I was like, you know what, let me just get them now, especially because I could also get my my birthday polish. So at the very top of my wish list, I had Lost in the Woods, which is this really beautiful pine green kind of linear holo. I think I talked about it in my best of Holo Taco video or just like some other recent video, and I mentioned how I have wanted some of the linears, but I just don't wear them super often. But there's something about that green that has been like rent-free in my mind since it released, and so I figured worst case scenario, I can destash it, you know, like that's kind of my mindset when it comes to buying polishes. One, I obviously have been like saving and budgeting for Black Friday, not go like super crazy, but you know, like get the polishes that have been on my wish list for a while. But like worst case scenario, if I don't like it, it's not gonna be like a total lost cause, you know? So I'm really looking forward to that because I have really loved Holo Taco's like dark greens. I feel like that is such a staple in a lot of people's collections. It's always highly recommended, and so I feel like I just need to get it, and it's not gonna be a shade that I regret. And even though I just said that I don't really wear linear holos that often, I did also pick up 2 other linear holos, and those were Mint Mojito and Peach Tea from the Pastel Rainbow Bundle. I feel like those should be self-explanatory. They're just really beautiful. They're definitely unique to my collection, where I have kind of dupes for like Pink Fizz or Lavender Syrup from Mooncat, but then I have ILNP's Aria, which was a kind of close enough dupe maybe to Sparkling Water. So yeah, Peach Tea and Mint Mojito are definitely the more unique shades that I have like gaps, or they would fill gaps in my collection, so I feel like those are justified. And I also finally picked up Existential Crisis. I remember really regretting skipping out on that when it like initially launched for Simply's birthday, but then as I eventually saw like more swatch photos, you know, like when people are sharing like on Reddit or Instagram, I was like, oh, this looks like so different. Like not as dark as I thought it was gonna be. And so the magic of the polish kind of got lost over time. And so when it eventually was brought back, I was like, do I really want this? Like, I don't know, because it's one that I had wanted so badly, like in the beginning, but as time went on, I was like, I don't love like all the swatches that I see. And I don't know if it's like one of those polishes that kind of suffers from batch issues, because I feel like that kind of has happened with Holo Taco. I feel like Double Dare, the other birthday polish, was another example of that, where like I had a really great experience with that polish and I do love that polish, but I know a lot of people do not. So you'll have to let me know if you remember Existential Crisis having a similar kind of thing. But yeah, I feel like it just was a little more blue than I like initially remembered it being. But I also know in the very beginning, I was really just going off of like Christine's swatches, and I don't want to say I don't trust her photos, but I definitely acknowledge that there have been a lot of times that her swatches specifically have set my expectations so high, but then once I get the polish and see it for myself, I'm like, this doesn't look like that, you know? And I get it, it's because she has like the professional lighting setup, the professional camera, like the quality is there, but it just has unfortunately burned me before. So all of that to say, I did end up getting it because I was like, okay, well, I want to like get free shipping. I think I forgot to mention, I also got the Gold Flake Taco for my birthday polish. I didn't have that one in my collection and I didn't really care for it because I already have Cirque's Sunkissed or Mooncat's Fool's Gold, I think it's called. And to me, a gold flake is a gold flake, they're dupes, so I'm gonna save that one for like a future giveaway or something. I also redeemed some points to get some replacement brushes, even though I'm pretty sure I don't need anymore. And so with all of that, I was so sure I had free shipping. I was 50 cents away. That was so annoying, but thank God they had these stickers on their website for like $1.50, so I got one of those too. So overall, I'm definitely looking forward to my Holo Taco order, but there were like a few things that I added that I wasn't super excited about, but I'm like, well, I want the free shipping. It's more worth it to me to get that. So yeah, I would love to know what you got from Holo Taco, because I know their sale like is still going on, at least at the time of like recording this, and I'm sure at the time of posting it. But I would say the brand that I am most looking forward to making a Black Friday haul is ILNP. No surprise, they are my favorite brand. I did do a pretty big Black Friday haul last year from them, and so I was already like, okay, I'm not gonna go that crazy. Just like in general this year, I didn't want to go as crazy as I did last year because I got so much. And again, not that it like went to waste or anything, because I like reviewed everything on my channel, and if there were shades that I didn't like, I destashed them, but I just, you know, I didn't want to go too crazy, right? So this year, my wish list was a lot smaller. I ended up just picking up like individual shades that I have had on my wish list basically since last year. At the very top of my list, I'm sure so many of you are going to be giving me a standing ovation. I finally picked up Eclipse. If you don't know, Eclipse is like the iconic black to red multi-chrome that I believe ILNP did first, and that's why like everybody is always raving about that one. And back when it came out, I admittedly was not really a multi-chrome fan. I didn't understand the hype, but I have come around, and I really love multi-chromes that shift to red in extreme angles. So I'm like, okay, you know, it took me a while, years, but I'm here now. I'm late to the party in true Libra fashion, but I am here. I am on the Eclipse hype train. So I'm really excited to finally have that one in my collection. I feel like it's just a cult classic. Next, I have Ava, which I got from like a recommendation. I don't remember who originally, but over the couple of times like on my channel, it would get recommended from like more and more people where they're like, oh yeah, there's this one shade, because it's very much giving like Cirque Coronation vibes. And even though I do already have Coronation, I would still love to have Ava, especially to do a comparison, you know, to really see like, are they dupes? Do you need Coronation? Which, you know, the answer is no, especially at their price point. But I still am just looking forward to getting that one, even if it does end up being a dupe for Coronation, because I'm not planning on getting rid of Coronation, but I also wouldn't want to get rid of Ava either necessarily. But we'll see. You know, that's a problem for future me. Some other classic ILNP shades that I feel like I needed to add to my collection were Salem, which I think came out in a Halloween collection like a few years ago, and Spellbound, which shouldn't be a surprise since I have talked about these like dark teals having me in a chokehold. I love it. It looks so beautiful, and I feel like I need it. And speaking of these like super dark, witchy, spooky kind of vibes, I did also have Annabelle on my wish list, but I recently took that off because I'm like, I don't know if I need it, because last year I had picked up Vanity, which is another like really dark purple kind of hollow jelly flaky formula, but Annabelle admittedly looks like a lot darker, like a blackened purple kind of shade. And as much as I love like a deep dark purple, I feel like that one's gonna be too dark, so I ended up removing it. But I would love to know if you guys have Annabelle, what you think of it. Is it too dark, or is it like still noticeably purple? But anyway, another polish I definitely am gonna get is High Roller, which came out in, I think it was called their VIP collection, which launched last year during Black Friday. It was basically these black bases with a multi-chrome magnetic shimmer and a little silver hollow flaky. I unfortunately didn't receive that collection in PR, and I had considered like picking it up eventually, but I feel like I ended up only really loving like half of the collection, and then the other three I'm just like, okay, I'm probably gonna destash those. Okay, no, sorry, it's not called the VIP collection, it's the Nightlife collection. There is a shade called VIP that I did have on my wish list. That was one that I'm like, okay, I really love that one, but I feel like it kind of reminds me of Enchantment, which is like one of my favorite magnetics from them. So I'm thinking I might be able to layer that over a black base and kind of get the same vibe. And the only other one that I loved was Jet Setter, because it kind of had this like pink to purple sort of multi-chrome multi-chrome, but I don't know, I just feel like between that one and High Roller, I just kind of like the color shifts in High Roller more. But overall, it's definitely a beautiful collection, super fun, especially if you love multi-chromes and magnetic formulas. I'm also going to be picking up Dash of Cocoa because I've seen Linry talk about this polish so many times on her channel. Well, I don't know how many is so many times, but she's talked about it enough times that it has been like ingrained into my brain that I need it, because I love a dark, sparkly kind of brown polish, and this one just looks so cozy. I feel like I have seen some people say it's like too dark, it's not giving like that same wow factor as some of their other shimmers, but I don't know, from seeing her swatch it, I'm like, that looks so beautiful. It looks like a brown polish that I would love, so I'm gonna get it, take my chance on it. I'm sure I won't be disappointed in it, so you know, where's the harm, right? And the very last polish that I have is kind of like a 180 because all of the polishes I shared so far are like darker, but the last polish that I have on my wish list is called Princeton, which came out in the spring 2014 collection, literally 10 years ago. It is so insane to me that ILNP still has some polishes like from that initial release. Princeton, I think, is so beautiful. I know, kind of maybe looking like Holo Taco's Mint Mojito, Princeton is a lot like softer and less hollow, like more of a maybe crelly base, at least, you know, judging from the photos. It just looks like such a beautiful, demure kind of green that, I don't know, I'm apparently just like really loving greens this year. I actually also had another shade on my wish list that I removed like not that long ago. It was called Valentina, and once you see it, you probably know why I removed it. It's because it just reminds me so much of Holo Taco's Moon Lagoon, which just came out. So now that I have Moon Lagoon in my collection, I feel like I don't need Valentina, but that was on my wish list. I was like, oh my god, this is such a beautiful, beautiful polish. Oh, and I guess lastly, this is like the most recent development or addition. I am like kind of embarrassed to admit, but I am gonna be aiming for that pink magnet. If you didn't see it on social media, ILNP is releasing these branded U-shape magnets, which are essential for like the best velvet nails. There's definitely some brands that have like these 3D printed magnets that can work in that like similar U shape, but I feel like from what I've seen, the traditional horseshoe magnets are just like so strong, especially the 30-pound one. And I remember seeing like months ago people saying to ILNP, like commenting on their social media, like, please can you guys like sell these magnets, because they were only available from like, you know, Amazon, and they're like $30, so it's definitely pretty expensive to get just as like an accessory, but I would kind of argue that it's worth it, especially if you do love the velvet effect. I've talked about it before, but the one that I have, my bestie actually gave to me. The reason that I never picked one up, not only, you know, because it was pricey, but literally because I was like, it's like red and kind of ugly, like I don't want this, you know, ugly magnet. So the fact that ILNP is releasing these like beautiful pastel colors and for cheaper, I'm like, okay, I need to get one. So again, I know that it is a kind of pricey accessory when it comes to like nail art, but arguably very much worth it if you do actually like use your magnetics, and especially for velvet nails. So that pretty much wraps up my window shopping and my what I'm getting for Black Friday video. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think of this video. Let me know what brands you are window shopping versus actually buying from this Black Friday season. Obviously, I know so many of you have already commented on that on like my previous like best of videos, whether it's like Mooncat or Holo Taco, but this video is pretty much mainly for like a lot of the other smaller indie brands, especially ones that I don't really review on my channel, so it makes sense that I'm going to be talking about them. But yeah, there is just so much beautiful nail polish out there, and definitely a lot of overlap, but also some shades that, you know, I think are worth it. For the section of what I'm going to be buying, I feel like it kind of sounds like a lot, but I'm not too worried about it because I feel like I have destashed a decent amount, and it's something I'm still gonna do. Like, destashing is never gonna end for me because with getting PR, I'm obviously just getting a lot more polish than I'm usually getting rid of, but there are just some shades that I think are so pretty, and I feel like I just really want them, and they fill gaps in my collection, so I'm trying to justify it. But you know, like I mentioned, this is something that I have been like planning for, saving for. I know I mentioned in like other videos that especially last year I did a lot more of these like haul type of videos, you know, just shopping from like different brands and trying them out, but it was mainly for the sake of doing a video. And I mean, obviously I'm still gonna like swatch everything and like show you guys like what I buy, but this is like mainly for me, you know, so I think I'm allowed to do that. But yeah, I just can't wait to hear what you guys think. Let me know any and all thoughts that you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.